Yes, y'all! From the Dave Campbell's Texas football mothership in beautiful Carrollton, Texas, it is DCTF Live, an internet show. My name is Greg Tepper. I am the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Once again, I don't have a magazine. Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you for spending part of your day with us, whether you are watching us live at TexasFootball.com or you are listening to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on iTunes. And if you are listening to us on the podcast, do me a favor and go and rate us. Give us the rating you think we deserve. For me, I'd do something around the 4 to 5 star range. Your mileage may vary. I am sitting here. Sitting over there is Max Thompson.
Hello.
Hi, Max.
How's it going?
Oh, not bad.
Yeah?
I have to tell you.
Oh, no.
So my in-laws were in town recently.
Yes.
And my mother-in-law is one of my mother-in-law and my mother are two of the most loyal DCTF Live.
This is true.
Listeners. They both subscribe to the podcast.
I think they both watch more than my mom.
I think that's absolutely true, which probably says something about our families. But my parents, my parents. I can go. My moms are enthralled with you.
Very handsome.
I think not because of that.
Very handsome.
No, in fact, they've said quite the opposite.
That's not true at all.
They think that because they're used to hearing me talk, that when they can find somebody who is who comes in and has the one-liners and the zingers and the
and is also very handsome.
Yeah, you're the side dish to my main course.
Sure.
And I think that they appreciate that. So.
Right.
Anyway,
today. Plus, they don't have to like me.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, they're required by law to like me. Today is Wednesday, July 6, 2016, episode 164 number of runs that Mike Lamb scored in his illustrious Texas Rangers career. A little bit later, I'm really fired up to talk to this guy. I know I say that every time we have a guest, but I mean it this time. All the other times I was faking it. But I am seriously fired up to talk to Stephen Dorr, the head coach at Boling. Boling was our 3A team of the year from last year. And this is a program that, how do I want to put it? Stunk. Yeah. I mean, there's not a whole lot of really, they spent about 3 decades bouncing between decent and abjectly terrible. 2 years ago, they were 2-8. Okay, the past 4 seasons they were 17-24 before 2015. Last year, 12-2, and on the cusp of making it to a state title game, and all in the first year under Coach Stephen Dorr. I'm really, really excited to talk. They lost in the quarterfinals to East Bernard. I mean.
Good team to lose to.
Yeah. I'm really excited to pick Stephen Dorr's brain and just figure out what in the heck happened out there in Boling, and can they do it again. Very excited to talk to him. We'll talk to him in a couple of minutes. And in a moment, we're going to talk 7-on-7. 7-on-7, the state tournament is this Saturday in College Station. We're going to discuss how important really is it. So we'll get into that in just a moment. I've mentioned we see a lot of children's movies in my household. A lot of the movies that are we don't have any kids, but a lot of the movies that are oh, you can bring your kids to this movie. The kids will like it, and there's something for the adults too. Right. The Despicable Me's of the world and stuff like that.
Hidden jokes for adults within kids' movies.
Absolutely. Yes, a large part of that is because my wife is a 5th grade teacher, and she wants to have those things to relate to her kids and stuff. I get it. So this weekend we did see a movie. It was not for kids. It was we saw My Kind of Traitor. It was. Have you seen the previews for this? Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Very much if you're into the John le Carre novels, where it's kind of a plodding along, like methodical.
Who doesn't love that
kind of thriller?
Yeah,
it was really
non-stop adrenaline thrill ride.
It wasn't like that.
Okay.
No. But it was good. I would recommend it. And then but we passed up the opportunity to see Finding Dory.
Oh, how could you?
Finding Dory is, of course, all the rage these days.
Oh, yeah.
But the reason we passed it up is because I've never seen Finding Nemo. I've never seen Finding Nemo.
Oh, okay.
And every time I say that to a certain segment of the population, I think especially women, especially girls, I get like this, you haven't seen Finding Nemo?
Really?
Yeah, I think that's a big movie. That's a big player in the in the same way that like Toy Story and all of those types of movies are key. So my question, I'm sorry, go on. You have a point.
No. I was just gonna say. I mean, you can like what you like.
Yeah.
I'm always gonna say that first. You can like what you like, and that's fine. Finding Nemo.
Never. Are you
not that good?
Are you against the
like I've read a bunch of reviews that say, "Oh, Finding Dory, so it's even better than Finding Nemo." I'm like, the bar was kind of low.
Wow. See, for me, mine on that one is Shrek, because I like Shrek was this thing. It was like, oh my gosh, you gotta see Shrek. It's so great. And then I saw it, and I was like, all right, it was fine. It didn't blow me away.
I feel like the best part of Shrek is just the random inclusion of as many like fictional characters from other stories,
little Easter eggs
in really funny, clever ways. That's the best part of Shrek, not the actual storyline or any of that.
But it got me to thinking, what's the best movie you've never seen? Like, what's the movie that like you get that reaction when you tell friends, you haven't seen, like, if you haven't seen Star Wars at this point, like, there's something wrong with you, okay? Yeah. Like, my wife has not seen Star Wars, which is horrifying to me.
Yeah.
So what is there a movie that you haven't seen? Not that you're actually avoiding it, but that you haven't seen that you're like, oh my god, like you get that kind of reaction.
Terminator.
Like the original?
The original Terminator. Never saw it.
Ooh, yeah, you're missing out. Pretty.
But
now T2's better.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Okay, good to know.
T2's better, but that's also like saying that this perfect wine is better than like anything else because it is.
I'm sure there's a more famous movie, but it feels like one that like a lot of people have seen and have been like, oh, Terminator. The whole Terminator series, I've never seen any.
You've never seen T2?
No.
Oh.
No, I haven't seen any of it. So
Wait. You have not seen Terminator 2, Judgment Day?
No.
Okay, you're getting that reaction from me.
Right. I feel like that's one just because like a lot of people have seen it. Not necessarily because it's like a part of any like storied canon. It's just a very popular movie, right?
I've never seen I think this is right. I've never seen any of the Lord of the Ring movies.
Oh, well, I'm not going to. Yeah, I've tried, and they just put me to sleep.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a little banter. We're DCTF Live. We're here every weekday at noon. I literally, we have a rundown, and it says banter.
Yes, right, banter, please, for 9 minutes or so.
We are DCTF Live. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and we have a website. Max.
Yes.
Saturday. Big day in Texas.
7-on-7 state tournament.
It is the 7-on-7 state tournament.
That which you have never attended, if I'm correct.
I have never attended.
Woo! You're missing it.
I've never attended. I have a weird relationship with it. Because
You've evolved.
I've evolved.
You've evolved.
I used to be abjectly just be like, this is stupid. I don't really want, it's not real football and stuff like that. I now see, after talking to coaches are the ones who've changed my mind. I talk to coaches and a lot of coaches who I respect. Not that I don't respect all coaches, but a lot of coaches whose opinion I really value have told me, like, you're wrong on this. There is a lot of value in this. You can see how, as far as the quarterback and wide receivers kind of rapport, and then also your defense, like your secondary. There's less to be gained from that.
Sure.
So I've evolved on that, just from conversations with coaches who have told me about the value that they get from it.
Right.
If they're getting value from it, I need to be finding that value from it as well. That's just me. So the bigger question for me is that I always ask is it important? Does it really matter? Is it really telling? Is it really something that can tell you what Texas high school football in the fall is going to look like? Because I think we all agree everything for us that surrounds it, all the things on the periphery, all need to come back to Friday nights.
Sure.
They all need to come back to Friday nights. So I don't know. For one thing, I think that the 7-on-7 tournament, it by its very design will weed out a number of teams that simply are not going to compete because that is not the kind of style that they run.
Right.
That if you go, like, I bet you that East Bernard, which runs the slot T,
right,
or Mason, which is the most runningest team there is.
But even to go beyond that, your pro style or I formation heavy teams like Steel or
Katy. Exactly. And so you look at these teams that basically if you run the ball 50% of the time or more, you're probably not well suited to perform well in 7-on-7. So that's one thing. But I also think that this can be an opportunity to take a look at secondaries, take a look at receivers, take a look at quarterbacks, and determine from our perspective, okay, look, that guy, Taylor has an outstanding quarterback this year. We need to keep an eye on that.
Right.
So if you look through the recent state champions, okay, and I went through for the past 5 years of who's done it. You've got a lot of you've got a couple. Actually, that's not true. You've only got one state champion.
Right.
In 2011, Melissa won the Division II 7-on-7 tournament, and they won the state title.
Yeah.
But you've also got a lot of teams that went really deep. Westlake, for example.
Right.
This Westlake team.
Yeah.
They won the Division I title last year, and
right.
I think that it's now understandable to see why.
Right.
Because they had a terrific quarterback in Sam Ellinger, and their defense, their secondary was pretty stout.
Sure.
Navasota, I don't think it was any surprise when Navasota won the Division II last year, or Division II 7-on-7 tournament last year, because Navasota, of course, had Shelton Epler and Trindavian Dixon.
Yeah.
That's a real pretty good equalizer right there. In 2014, the only teams that I would say you got Graham won it back-to-back years in 2013, 2014. They made it to the state semifinals both of those years. Yeah. The only two teams that I would say that won a 7-on-7 tournament in the past 5 years that I would say underachieved or at least didn't live up to
didn't follow it up.
In 2014, Katy Seven Lakes won the Division I title, and they went 8-3, got bounced in the first round of the playoffs. And the real outlier here is in 2012, Plano won the Division I state 7-on-7 tournament, and they went 5-6.
Yeah.
Now, part of that is because they had a tough district draw. Part of that's because they suffered a lot of injuries. But that's an example of a team that pretty much underachieved based on that performance. Every other team has won 10 games. So there is evidence to suggest that it's important, but I think that the idea is, like everything, and like kind of my whole thought on life in general, take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Don't take one bit of evidence and extrapolate that so far that you're not going to be able to reasonably judge anything else.
Right.
I think 7-on-7 is important. I think that it's the kind of thing that I think coaches love because it guarantees that their kids are working out in the summer.
That's a big factor for sure.
Coaches love it. And I think that if you are breaking in a new quarterback, even if you don't make the 7-on-7, the state tournament, even just getting those reps with the receivers is important. Especially if you're breaking in a new quarterback or if you're breaking in kind of a new secondary or receiver core. But I also think that it's worth mentioning that there's different styles, and those styles, 7-on-7 is conducive to one type of style, the spread, which shouldn't be a surprise that Westlake won it last year, right?
Right.
They've got Todd Dodge, the king of the spread, and they've, and now they can't coach, by the way. That's part of the thing. But they run the spread offense in practice. They run it in the games.
Mm-hmm.
So when you've got these spread offenses, I think that it's a decent valuation of how your quarterback looks, how your secondary looks, how your receivers look. But as we know, that's not necessarily what football is all about. A lot of football comes back to what happens on the lines.
Right.
So the 7-on-7 state tournament down in College Station on Saturday should be a lot of fun. We are DCTF Live. We are here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. We're working on getting a Snapchat. I made that up. We're not really working on it. I don't think we're going to get a Snapchat because I don't really understand it. So last year, one of the big stories in Class 3A was the emergence of the Boling Bulldogs. The Boling Bulldogs were a squad that, you know what? Let's look this up. I'm going to look up where we had them picked last year. Let's see. Last year they were in District 13. Let's check. Max, we're having a little bit of fun here. I'm going to open up the 2015 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. I'm going to turn to District 13. Let's see. District 13, 3A, Division 2. And in that, we have they mentioned that their new coach, Stephen Dorr, is there. We have them picked third in the district. We have them picked third in their district. They did not win the district, but they did finish second in that district, and then they went on quite a playoff run. And here to talk about his Bulldogs is the head coach of Boling. We are pleased to be joined by Stephen Dorr. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
We are hanging in there. How is everything in beautiful Boling, Texas?
Everything's going well. Just grinding away, midsummer. 4 weeks of strength conditioning is done, and we have 25 days till August 1st, and here we go.
So we are I want to take you back to last year where you come in, you get the job at Boling after being the offensive coordinator at Angleton. You take over a program that was 17-24 in its last 4 seasons. It had been 27 years since their last 10-win season, and then all of a sudden, you guys rattle off 12-2. I guess my question is, how?
Well, number one, they had kids that could play, and just had to get them in the right spots. And then we put a good staff together, a bunch of Angleton guys and guys that I had been around. Every coach that we brought in was somebody I knew, and we were lucky and fortunate, and we still are. Didn't lose any of those guys yet. And then we just went to work, and we expected to win. We felt like we were going to have a chance to do that from the get-go, to go 12-2. I don't know if any of us thought that, but we thought we would win, and immediately. And that was kind of our approach, and we preached that to the kids, and that's kind of what we did. And we just didn't take any excuses,
Was there a moment kind of in the build-up to last year, or even maybe at some point during the season, where you started looking around and saying, we might have something here. We might have something that's actually truly special?
Yeah, probably. It was difficult because a lot of us, there was 3 guys that were on the staff. 2 of those guys that I knew previously before coming in. And we didn't have a great feel for the people we were playing. We've been playing 5A football and in the same area, but you just, when you're coaching at a different level, you don't really look at you worry about what you have to worry about essentially. So, about 4 or 5 games in, and I think we all felt like, hey, maybe we do have a chance to be pretty good, and it just worked out for us.
I want to ask you a little bit about 2016 now. I mean, this is a squad that you guys have. It looks like you are absolutely loaded. 9 starters back on what was an outstanding offense last year, plus another 6 on defense. Is there a little bit of change in philosophy now that you have a year under your belt, and it seems like you've got pretty much the whole band coming back?
A little bit. I think that the big thing is that I ask myself, and we ask ourselves as coaches, is how are we going to handle success? Mm-hmm. What are the things that can we handle that? Are our kids up for that challenge? We're the hunted now, not the hunters. And we talk about a lot of those things, but for the most part, it's just coaching football and getting ready to go play, and week in and week out, and taking one game at a time, and all those slogans that we talk about as coaches, those cliche things, and that's what you got to go do.
What is your message to your kids? I mean, this is a program that I think in a lot of respects at Katy, take Katy for example. It's easy to say, hey, go do what those guys did. You know what I mean? At Boling, where you guys don't have that kind of pedigree, at least in the past 30 years or so, all of a sudden you guys get really rich really quickly. What's your message to your kids as far as heading forward into 2016?
Well, we kind of talk about a couple things that don't change. Number one, we want to finish, and our kids are probably sick of hearing that. I have one here sitting in my office looking at me right now, and he's nodding his head. That's number one, and we got to finish everything we do, and then we have to play physical. We have to win the turnover battle, and those type of things. Those are the things that we have to do as a group. And if we feel like we can do those things, we're going to win most games. And then one thing I left out is we want to be explosive on both sides of the ball. We want to have 6 explosive plays and keep our opponents at 2 or under. So, those are the things that we try to do as a group every week, and that message will not change. And that's who we are. That's who we want to be.
We're talking with Stephen Dorr, the head coach of the Boling Bulldogs here on DCTF Live. Get involved with the conversation at #DCTF Live. It seems like, Coach, you've got a number of guys you can turn to and say, he's an important player, he's an important player. For me, looking at your team, it seems like it all starts with Elijah Gooden. This is a guy who the heartbeat of the defense, and then, your top rusher, a second-team All-State running back. What about Elijah Gooden stands out to you?
Well, first of all, he comes from a great family. Mom and dad are both involved in his life, and they're good people. He is a good student. He's already qualified test score-wise and carries over a 3.0 GPA. And then aside from all that, he's just a explosive kid on both sides of the ball. Averaged 13.2 a carry last year. A little over 1,700 yards on about 130 carries. And then defensively, he's just a guy that can go sideline to sideline, and I think he had 9.5 sacks. And he's just a really good player, and he's a good kid on top of that.
I think maybe this is not an indictment on anybody else on your team, but I think my favorite player on your team is Vernon Jackson, just because of the combination quarterback / defensive lineman, 6'3", 235, a guy who can throw, a guy who can run, a guy who can play defense. Tell our listeners a little bit about Vernon Jackson.
Well, Vernon is all those things you just said. He's going to be a junior. He's learning through the process. He wants to be a quarterback. That's important to him. I think he can be that guy. He's just got to keep growing. He is, big, strong guy, works really hard, another intelligent kid, already has a 21 on his ACT just this past summer, is going to qualify down the road to play college football, wants to play college football. He's a unique talent, and he's sitting in my office right now. He wants to be as good as he can be, and we're gonna cut him loose this year. I promise you that.
Hey, how about that? I got to good. I'm glad that I mentioned that he was my favorite player on your team, and not somebody else that wasn't sitting in your office. That's probably good. And then your defense obviously is going to be key to everything, especially in your district where you're going to have a number of squads that can score. A number of squads that have those explosive playmakers. Who do we need to know about on your defense?
Well, first of all, our defense coordinator's name is Jerry Young. He has been a head coach previously, 9 different seasons. He's a mentor of mine. He's a guy that was with us at Angleton, and he was coaching on the offensive side of the ball. Really good coach and really a good schemer. We're a 3-3 stack team, and we vary, depending if we play a spread team. We play 3-4 stuff and do some other things. But defensively, we really preach, we have to play defense. That's the first thing we're going to do is play great defense. And then we try to put our best players on defense first and then fill in the offense secondly. There's a lot of good players on defense. We got Cade Bickham is a kid that is a running back also, but is a really good D end. We have a kid named Ronnie Crushaw who is going to be a senior. Is just an explosive little kid that just makes plays. We have a bunch of kids coming back, and the great thing about our defense, we had 9 football games last year that the backups played in. So a lot of those kids have played that were not quote unquote starters last year. So we feel confident that we've gotten a lot of people an opportunity to play. And we were also very young last year. We played, I think we had 9 sophomores on the varsity and a freshman. So we feel like we're going to be okay defensively.
Let's talk about maybe what's a bad word around Boling, or bad 2 words rather. It's East Bernard, the only team to beat you guys last year. You play them in district play, and they kind of thump you, and then you play them again in the playoffs, and it seems like it's nip and tuck along a lot of the way. East Bernard ends up pulling away. I know the coaching cliches, Coach. I know it's the first game of the year, but how do you talk to your kids, and what do you say to your kids about this team that seems to be in your way and seems to be the biggest obstacle, that if you can get over it, all of a sudden the road is wide open?
Well, we don't spend a lot of time talking about East Bernard, but obviously they're there. We all know it. The kids know it. We know it. And they're Region 4. You have to beat them if you want to get out of Region 4, period. And they're a great football team. It's a great program. They're going through a coaching change, and Coach Bossy is now the head coach there who has been to D.C. It's something that, I'd be lying to you if I didn't think about them every single day. And I do. And they're a great program. We want to be like East Bernard, and that's how much respect we have for them. And, it's all the things you said. We have to close the gap, and hopefully we can, because, they're always going to be strong and at every level. And it's a true program, what you just said.
Realignment, of course, on the tip of everybody's tongue. Not a whole lot of changes for you guys. You guys get you guys get one addition. Schulenburg makes the move up. When you take a look at District 14 3A Division 2, what are your overall thoughts?
Well, we actually got 2. We got Bloomington also came in, and then Van Vleck went out. They moved up. So it hasn't changed a whole lot. You're right. The whole district pretty much changed over from last year. There's a bunch of I think I'm the only head coach that's left that was in the district last year. That was in our old district. So a lot of change. We don't know exactly what we're going to be seeing in the coming months as far as, what scheme they're going to be running and things like that. We usually try to spend time in the summer to kind of get a pregame game plan for them, like a summer game plan, and that's pretty hard to do right now because we just don't know who they're going to be. But we're excited about it. Every week's a challenge, good or bad, and we'll just go from there.
He is Stephen Dorr. He's the head coach of the Boling Bulldogs, and he is in his office right now with his outstanding quarterback, Vernon Jackson. Coach, appreciate your time. Enjoy your off season, and I'm sure we'll be talking in the fall.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
There he goes, Stephen Dorr, the head coach of the Boling Bulldogs. It's always awkward to bring up the team that has your number, but that's the one team that had them last year.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, they go 12-2, 2 losses to East Bernard, and look, there ain't a whole lot of shame in losing to East Bernard. East Bernard's beaten a lot of teams.
Very good program.
They were a whisker away from playing for a title last year. They lose to Franklin in the semifinals 10-7. This is, but look, the beauty of their situation is that they're going to see them in district play. They're going to see them in district play. That's the team they got to go through to win District 14 3A Division II, in my opinion. Tidehaven will have something to say about it, but that's the team they've got to go through. And chances are they're going to see them again. Chances are they will see them again in the playoffs. And can they take anything from that first game, or can they get over the hump in the first game and then all of a sudden go in as the big team to beat?
They're certainly close.
Absolutely. So really appreciate, and I'll tell you, with the experience they have coming back, and the swagger they've got to have around that program, I wouldn't. Let's put it this way: Boling's not a flash in the pan. They're sticking around. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. That's going to do it. We're going to be back tomorrow. So do that. We weren't going to be back tomorrow, and now we are going to be back tomorrow. Isn't that fun? So follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell. Stay on there, football. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Vince Young, please get your Player of the Year trophy, and we will see you tomorrow on DCTF Live.